It's been over 50 years, half a century. But for the first time since the Apollo missions, humans are finally sending astronauts back to the moon. And this isn't just hitting replay, this is Artemis 2, and it's the final, critical test before we actually land again. Think of this 10-day journey as the ultimate dress rehearsal for our permanent return to the lunar surface. So let's break it all down.
You know, that's from a NASA scientist, just imagining what the crew is going to feel. And that really gets to the heart of this whole thing, doesn't it? Beyond all the incredible rockets and the mind-bending math, Artemis 2 is, at its core, a human story. It's about 4 people seeing our planet from a place no one has been in a generation.
So what's the actual game plan for this incredible trip? How are the astronauts going to push this brand new spacecraft to its absolute limits? And what really makes this flight a game changer? In this explainer, we're going to follow the entire story of Artemis 2, from the massive preparations back on Earth to that fiery, high-stakes return home.
Okay, let's get the big question out of the way first. Why are we even going back? I mean, we've been there, done that, right? Well, not exactly. The goal this time around is completely different. See, the Artemis program isn't about planting a flag and then heading home for good. It's a step-by-step plan. Artemis 1, that was the trial run with no one on board, just to make sure the rocket and capsule worked. Artemis 2, the one we're talking about, puts the most important part inside, the people. And all of this is leading up to Artemis 3 and beyond, where the plan isn't just to land, but to stay, and to use the moon as a launch pad for the next giant leap, sending humans to Mars.
So if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. Artemis 2 is a test flight. Yes, the trip around the moon is going to be historic and beautiful, but the #1 job is to push every button and test every system on the Orion spacecraft with a crew inside. They're testing brand new life support, new computer screens, and for the very first time they're going to grab the controls and actually fly this thing in deep space.
But before Orion can do any of that, it has to get off the ground. And that whole process is like a massive, high-stakes ballet down at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
The journey to the launch pad is just monumental. First, they have to stack this absolute beast of a rocket, piece by giant piece, inside the vehicle assembly building. Then, the crew actually suits up and gets in for a full practice run of the countdown. After that, the whole skyscraper-sized thing rolls out to the pad for what they call a wet dress rehearsal. They fill it all up with fuel just to make sure there are no leaks, and only after every single one of those boxes is checked can the real countdown begin.
You know, this quote from the launch director just says it all. Can you imagine seeing that? A rocket as tall as a skyscraper, slowly rolling out into the sunlight. It's got to be unreal. It's more than a machine. It's years and years of work from thousands of people, all leading to that moment.
All right, so the rocket's on the pad, the countdown hits 0, liftoff. The 10-day test flight is officially on. Let's follow the journey, from Earth orbit all the way out to the far side of the moon and then back home again.
Okay, here's the roadmap for the trip. It is a packed schedule. Day 1 is all about getting into orbit and kicking the tires, making sure all the systems are good to go. By day 2, they hit the gas for the moon with the translunar injection burn. Days 4 and 5, that's the main event, the lunar flyby. Then it's a few days of just coasting back, ending with the grand finale on day 10, a fiery re-entry and a splashdown.
That launch is just a ride of pure brute force. We're talking a staggering 8.8 times million pounds of thrust. In just over 8 minutes, less time than it takes to brew a pot of coffee, it shoves the crew into this long looping orbit. About 20 minutes in, the solar arrays pop out to give them power, and then a quick engine burn puts them in a nice, stable parking orbit so they can get to work.
And this next part is absolutely critical. After they separate from that huge rocket stage, the crew actually gets to fly Orion. For the first time, they take the joystick and steer the capsule around, getting close to that old rocket part to see how the ship handles. It's like learning to parallel park, but in space, at thousands of miles an hour. And they have to nail this, because on future missions, they'll need that skill to dock with a lunar lander.
Okay, it's day 2. All the checks are done. It's go time. This is the big one. Translunar injection. You can think of this as the moment they commit. They light up the engine, and it literally flings them out of Earth's orbit. A cosmic slingshot that sends them on a 4-day journey across 250,000 miles of space.
And here's where things get really, really elegant. That big engine burn puts them on what's called a free return trajectory. It's a genius move. It means that from this point on, gravity is their pilot. The pull from the Earth and the moon will naturally swing their spacecraft around the moon and guide it right back home. It's an incredible built-in safety net. Even if their main engines failed, gravity would still bring them back.
So after 4 days of coasting through the quiet of deep space, they finally arrive. They're at the moon, but the view they're about to get, well, no human has ever seen it quite like this before.
This is the key difference. The Artemis 2 mission is going to fly more than 5,000 nautical miles beyond the far side of the moon. To put that in perspective, the Apollo missions were practically skimming the surface, just a few dozen miles up. This is a whole different vantage point. So think about it this way. The Apollo astronauts were like geologists, with their faces pressed up against the window, seeing all the details down below. The Artemis 2 crew, though, they're stepping back. From where they'll be, they won't just see craters and mountains. They will see the entire moon as a single floating globe against the black.
And this analogy from a NASA official just nails it. It's like holding a basketball out at arm's length. You can see the whole thing at once. It's a perspective no one has ever had with their own eyes, and you just know the photos they bring back are going to be absolutely breathtaking.
So after that incredible lunar flyby, the mission's focus shifts to the most critical objective of all, getting the crew home safe and sound. This quote really gets to the core of it. Every test, every maneuver, every single system on that spacecraft is all designed for this one purpose. That final day of the mission is a high-speed, high-stakes sequence of events where everything has to go perfectly.
The final act is just a marvel of physics. About 20 minutes before hitting the atmosphere, they ditch the service module, the part of the ship they don't need anymore. Then they slam into the atmosphere at nearly 25,000 miles an hour, turning into a man-made meteor. Then, pop! The first set of parachutes comes out, slowing them to a still screaming 325 miles per hour. Finally, the 3 giant main chutes unfurl, bringing them down for a gentle splashdown at about 15 miles per hour. The second that capsule hits the water, a massive, well-oiled recovery operation kicks into high gear. You've got U.S. Navy divers in small boats rushing right up to it. The crew is then carefully lifted out and flown by helicopter to a nearby recovery ship, and only after the astronauts are safely on board does the team begin the delicate process of towing the Orion capsule itself into the ship. Mission accomplished. So when you boil it all down, Artemis 2 is that bridge between our past in space and our future. It's the final systems check, the last big rehearsal before we send humans to once again walk on another world. A successful mission here paves the way for Artemis 3. For a new era of lunar science and for exploration. It really just leaves us with one big question, right? What are we going to find when we go back, and this time we go back to stay?